Hi, I'm going to be showing a quick, easy way to set up a loop bundle for braiding a 3-loop braid, 3-loop square braid, or flat, or however you want to braid your 3-loop braid. I've cut three about equal length pieces of yarn, twice as long as I want my loops to be, and then I'm going to simply fold them in half. I'm not going to worry too much about them getting twisted. I'll try not to twist them too much, but just tying the knot will twist them a bit, so I just don't worry about it that much. So here's my bent in half bundle of 3 strands that are now going to be forming a loop. 3 loops. I'm going to take the ends, tie an overhand knot. Here, you can make this big and then work it back up. I tend to tie it kind of loosely and then tighten within the loop bundle, so that this will ensure that grab the end there. This will ensure that the loops are all the same length. That's actually more important than that the strands are the same length. Just to have the loops be the same length. Here we go, from the knot. It just feels better when you're braiding. So it doesn't really matter so much if some of the strands stick out more than others here, and you can always trim that off later. Okay, then I tie, this is what I'm going to be braiding, and I want it to be a bit longer than my eventual braid will be, because you can't braid all the way to the ends of the loop, so you can probably only braid down to about there. And there's something, it will shorten a teeny bit, maybe not so much with only 3 loops, but that's called take-up with any weaving or braiding. As they weave or braid back and forth, it kind of shortens the length a little bit from the strands that you started with, so you make it a bit longer to allow for that, and for the bit at the end that you aren't going to be able to braid. Then I'm going to attach this to a firm fixed point, and what I use now is a C-clamp, usually on the edge of my kitchen table, but I used to always use the back of a kitchen chair. You can tie on any way that's convenient. I like to use a lark's head knot, which is kind of like a noose, because it's easy to take off later. So I'm going to take this length of string or yarn or whatever you have, and make, I don't know if that shows in the camera, make a kind of, bend it in half, make a loop, and then poke both ends through that loop. That's forming kind of a noose. Tighten up just below the knot. That knot is going to be what it holds on to. So now I can tie, depending on how long I cut my string. If I had been planning to tie in the back of the kitchen chair, I might have cut it a bit longer. Since I'm just going to drop it over the top bar of the C-clamp, I put my C-clamp on upside down with the bar on top. I'm just going to tie a little knot at the end and drop it over. I actually don't put it on the whatchamacallums, the main part of where the threads are on the C-clamp, because that can chew through the strands. I usually try and wind it or drop it around the bar, the smooth bar. So I'm going to put that around the top. Actually, you know what, I think I'm going to make it a bit longer, just remembering I meant to make it all the way out. And this is what I'm going to braid from. Get it on. So now I have my 3 loops, and I'm going to separate them. There's usually a bit of a tangly bit at the top. I don't usually work from the to separate the loops out. I start at the bottom. It'll just be better than starting up near the top of the loop. People think they can start up there and get the crinkle out and move it on down. The thing is, then it magnifies. It'll get even more crinkly on the other side. It just usually works out better to grab it from down here, one at a time, and load them onto the fingers where they're going to be to start with. See, there's a bit of a wound up area up here. I don't even worry about that. It's not worth trying to untangle it, and most of the time, if it obviously can be untangled, go ahead and do it, but most of the time it just doesn't. There are some that can't be untangled. So you load up, as I've shown on another little video, you load up on one hand the index finger and the middle finger, and on the other hand the index finger, so you have a free, on that hand, a free middle finger to begin the braiding procedure with. So I don't think I'm going to go into that. That's it for this. This is what I would start. This loop setup is very easy, very quick. This is what I would teach a child, and what I would do myself for making a quick sample, or for any braid that I didn't mind having a fringe at the end. I'm also going to do a little video showing how to start a 3-loop braid without a fringe at the end, instead with a little loop. And I don't think you would actually need to have the loop, but a way with no fringe. So that'll be part 2.